Peace. Islam. Sheekamauga Alamassee-El. Coming at y'all live. Deep down. Alamassee Arabian country. Deep in the Mississippian district. Right on the line of the Arabian district. Kind of divided up by this mighty Towaliga River. If you know the drop on the Towaliga River, you know that it was a very predominant, important water thoroughfare, within what's called the old Creek territory, Mississippi territory. Current, of course, you know your territory, you know the republic, you know what republic it is now, as opposed to the franchise of, the democracy. But historically, we know in the old Barbary government that this was Mississippi country, you know what I'm saying? So the Towaliga River, if you really get you a map and you look at the Towaliga River, you're gonna be able to figure out that it was dammed up. So it was probably a lot bigger than it is now. Like it's still a decent sized waterway, and a lot of these waterways, more than likely, they're very old, potentially ancient, and a lot of them were dredged, man-made kind of river highways, river water highways and canals and whatnot. But if you look, this building, this river was actually dammed up to create either Lake Jackson's or High Falls Lake. I'm not sure. Correct me on that, but it was dammed up. So you're gonna figure out that this river is a lot smaller now than it probably once was. You know what I'm saying? Because again, that's why we refer to ourselves as Mississippians, because we were very advanced engineers, and the river highway system that transverses North America was actually engineered by the ancestors. Our main method of transportation, hauling goods and moving about, was on the rivers and on the water, as opposed to, in the current times, the main method of transportation is through the roads and interstate system. And that's fine. That's how the current predominant civilization feels like. They want to be able to, their method of moving. That's how they wanted to do. And you can't necessarily blame them, because these people are not, when it was more of a water-based, when water, as far as North America, when the water highways were the main method of transportation, that's when the Moes were patrolling. You know what I'm saying? We had the boats, so we were the police. We were the highway patrol. You know what I mean? We was on these rivers highway patrolling. So it would make sense once they got the upper hand for them to kind of want to drain these things, make them smaller, kind of eliminate a lot of the heavy traffic, and move their transportation to other methods. Move their more methods that's easier for them to control. I get that. You know what I'm saying? Not saying right or wrong, but I get it. But that don't eliminate the fact that our main method of transportation in the old Barbary style America was on the rivers, the river highway system, the Mississippi River Highway system, which is why we the Mississippian people. You know what I mean? So just most of your blood is Mississippi, along with the European and everything, but all of it originates in the same place. You know what I'm saying? So mighty Towaliga River. And the reason why we picked this location today is the name Towaliga. Kind of want to discuss that, how it's like in the prior, in the years, in the modern times, a lot of our people have made the very grave mistake of abandoning their indigenous demonstration and the power and the mighty level of power that it has always carried in this land, and wanted to go after foreign gods. You know what I'm saying? Foreign demonstrations and foreign cultures. Just in kind of abandoning what's kind of in their blood. Now, the name Towaliga. Now let's just do the knowledge to the name Towaliga. You know what I'm saying? What does the name Towaliga kind of remind you of? Don't it remind you of Lakeisha, Shaniqua? You know what I mean? Joanna, Treyana. You know what I mean? Those type of names. Now let's go to other names that you will find on these creeks and rivers and locales, cities. In so-called the northern part of this territory, this republic we're in, y'all know what republic we're in. They have a lake called Lake Alatuna. You know what I'm saying? Alatuna. They'll say, you know, the gringo style accent will say Alatuna, but it's Alatuna. You know what I mean? They have the Chattahoochee River. Chattahoochee. You know what I mean? What else we got? You have the Altamaha River, which was the old border of, and it still is technically, the old border of the Georgia colony, the Altamaha River. You know what I'm saying? The Ogeechee River. You know what I mean? The let's call out some town names. Up in the northern part of this territory, they have Hiawassee, the Hiawassee town of Hiawassee. You know what I'm saying? You got Chattanooga, Tennessee. You know what I mean? Alabama. You dig? You have there's an old locale in the territory of Alabama, Tallahassee. You know what I mean? Tallahassee. Now, we all know, just through, you know, the various wars and you know, the history of American barbarie, which we're going to touch on in another drop. We know about these historic battles, what went on, the Crusades and everything, and how the corporate, more so, demonstration was able to kind of get the upper hand for a period of time. So it made sense for a lot of the ancestors. I'm not saying right or wrong. Me personally, it wouldn't be in my heart to do it. But a lot of the ancestors, and again, it doesn't necessarily come from so much from military defeat as opposed to the old military alliance that our people had with our cousins across the water. So yeah, you would take an English name or Welsh name or English name, depending on what demonstration you were dealing with. So say if you were on the 13 colonies, and you know, through our agreements to be a military and economic alliance with so-called Britain, you know, you may need to go into the colonies to do business. You know, you may need to leave the interior and go onto the colonies, go to their port towns where they have some sway, and do business. So it will make sense to learn to speak that language. So you may call yourself Theodore Roosevelt or Kevin or something like that, or John Smith or whatever, to go do business on the colonies. You know what I'm saying? With your, you know, with your cousins, with your cousins from that demonstration. But then when you went back home, you was Wabakashi. You know what I mean? Or Towaliga, Tallulah. You know what I mean? These were your indigenous names, and the cadence of these type of words still carries on to today with all the so-called ghetto hood names. You know what I'm saying? LaQuisha. You know what I mean? You know, they are, of course. Let me tell you something. The people who are living off your birthrights, they would pretty much do anything, create any propaganda, spend any amount of money to keep you from readopting the frequency of this land that's going to work for you. You know what I mean? So it's always been their own personal little jihad to try to put bad propaganda on anything that's going to bring you back to that frequency that's going to match this land, which ultimately is going to give you the upper hand in everything you do here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, think about it. Your ancestors were so meshed. They were so top notch. They had their stuff so together in this land. These people who were able to the trusteeship and the corporate trusteeship, even when they were able to take control, they had to keep a lot of the names intact. You know what I'm saying? Of a lot of the towns, they had to name a lot of their institutions after your ancestors. That should tell you something right there. So while you sitting up there adopting the names of foreign nations, dealing with foreign cultures and foreign gods, they sitting up there in their demonstrations adopting the names of your ancestors. For instance, there's a high school up in the northern part of this territory called Appalachia High School, but the majority of the demographic of the people that go to that high school, I mean, they're mostly, you know, more European. You know what I'm saying? But it's still Appalachia, because these people understand adopting the frequency of the land you're in, and they want to have the upper hand over you. So they don't want you going back to what works for you, what historically has worked for you. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, in very recent times, say more so the hip hop culture, you had a lot of people, even in the streets or whatever they want to do, they want to adopt the names of foreign cultures, foreign gods. Like you got people who want to call themselves Noriega, people want to call themselves Sosa, people want to call themselves Capone, or all of these foreign designations. So guess what? Everything is spiritual and everything is frequency. So when you take the designation, the name, the words or spells, what's gonna end up happening is your reality is going to be your reality is going to adapt to the frequency of the words and you're using, and the thoughts in your mind is going to start to create a certain reality around you. You know what I'm saying? And now that reality that you take when you take on these foreign names, that reality that your mind is going to start to create through these words and these spells being cast is going to put you at a disadvantage to the people whose names you're adopting. Because again, in a way, these names is all trademarked. You know what I'm saying? So you in copyright infringement. So you want to call yourself Noriega, Escobar, Esco, whatever. You know what I mean? Like that, man, no need to call the name, but there's a prominent eatery in the city in so-called Atlanta called Escobar. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and not knocking it, but you're still putting yourself. You're of Mississippian blood, but you're adopting a foreign name. So you're automatically putting yourself at an economic, a political, and a spiritual disadvantage to an occupier. You know what I'm saying? By just doing something as simple as adopting these names. You know what I mean? While you got people, the people who are under the trustee demonstration, who are living in towns with the names of your ancestors, and guess what? They in control. They economically are in a superior position to you, and you wonder why. You know what I'm saying? Like, they live in towns called like Hiawassee, Georgia. You know what I'm saying? And they have full kind of like as a group, as a collective, they have like full economic control of these places. You know what I'm saying? And they kept the names of your ancestors. And you wonder why you find yourself at a second class, third class state in this territory. Man, you got to get back. You have to readopt the frequency, the soul, the essence of your ancestors, man. So you got to have names like Alamassee, you know what I mean? Sheekamauga, Asahachi, you know what I mean? Wabakashi, Tenskwatawa, you did? Ojiwa, you got to get back to Tallahassee, Tallahassee, Talihuma, you know what I mean? Like, these are your ancestors. Towaliga. You got to get back. Y'all, like I say, y'all want to be mobsters. Y'all want to be on that level. Y'all want to be Tony Montana. Y'all want to be all these things. And that's all good and that's all well. It just means you want to have, all it is a man's natural instinct to want to assert power and dominance. I get it. But you got to understand what your birthright demonstration is. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand what that is. It's the Barbary, Muslim, Moab demonstration that has always been predominant in America, the Al-Moroccan demonstration. And all of these names are Al-Moroccan. You know what I'm saying? You got to get back to yours. So, like I said, you walking around talking about some Esco, Sosa, and all this stuff, all these foreign designations. Guess what? And you gonna walk down the street. You want to adopt these people's names, these foreign names, right? You gonna walk down the street every day, which is a lot of us find ourselves doing. You walk down the street every day. Every business in your hood, in your neighborhood, and all that, it's gonna be owned by a person with a last name like that. While you sitting around begging for a job, while you sitting around begging for a plug, while you sitting around having to play second fiddle. You know what I'm saying? But you just named your demonstration Escobar or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. And then, you wonder why you find yourself at the behest of these people, man. You know what I'm saying? Really be the boss, man. Really be the boss, brothers, sisters. Readopt your demonstration. You know what I'm saying? Wallahachi. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a river in Alabama, Wallahachi. You feel me? I mean, come on, man. I mean, let's just get the nonsense out the paint. Get back on your square. Again, get back on your science. Readopt your names. Rebuild your demonstration. So you can be the boss again. used to run this. Your ancestors was patrolling, arresting. They had this on lock, but they were being themselves. They had their own names. You know what I'm saying? They had their own demonstration. You know, let me tell you something. When you're in your own land, right? And a lot of y'all walk up and down the street with this demonstration of, you know, this associated with a color. Let me tell you something. These people who come to this land to get what they need to get, because it's all warfare out here. It's economic warfare. Economics is straight up warfare. It always has been, always will be. Nation against nation, group against group. It's always gonna be a fight for dominance and who gonna eat, who gonna reproduce, who gonna, you know what I mean, who gonna prevail. Let me tell you something. These other nationalities that may be in your Mississippian territory, when they see you not being yourself, not adopting your names, because everybody know but you, not adopting your names, not being your rightful frequency, man, they see you as food and prey out here, man. They may smile up in your face. They may, you know what I mean, they may be nice to you, but you're just food to them. You are here to be, you're to be exploited. You're to be done whatever you need to be do with to get what they need for their community. You know what I'm saying? You just food. So you walking down the street with a baseball cap and a white tee, or a suit and tie or whatever. You ain't got your turban. You ain't got your national headdress. You ain't got none of that. You ain't got your right name. You ain't got none of that. I mean, immediately you're seen as prey. You know what I'm saying? Whether you realize it or not. Bro, I've been in habit for a long time, so I can have different conversations with other nationalities. And trust me, a lot of y'all are seen as prey. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are seen as food out here. Because you're not in line with your ancestors. You got to be in line with your ancestors who was the bosses out in this Mississippian demonstration. You feel me? So again, man, Alamassee-El, Alatuna. You know what I mean? Kitowa. That's your demonstration. You want to mob up? Alamassee-El, Alamassee-El. You know what I'm saying? Tennessee, Mississippi. You know what I'm saying? Deshuba. Get your names back, man. Get Sheekamauga. Get your names back. Mob. You want to mob up, be mafia style? Take your names back, partner. Apalachi. You know what I mean? Mekasuki. Mahomet. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. Just listen. If you don't want to be food out here, because again, it's an invasion going on. It's damn near red dawn out here. If you don't want to be easy food, you better get back on your square and you better get back on your demonstration. All the color stuff ain't gonna work no more. All these adopting foreign names and chasing out the foreign gods ain't gonna work no more. All you feeling like a phenotype other than your own is supposed to control your affairs and be a superior position to you, and you're supposed to ask somebody permission to do something in your own land, that ain't gonna work no more. You know what I'm saying? It's kill or be killed. At the end of the day, economically, politically, hyperdimensionally, that's just the era we in. It's like Revelations. It's kill or be killed. Eat or be eaten. It ain't gonna be ain't nobody taking no prisoners. So you better get like your warlike, brave ancestors who wasn't playing around. When you had these demonstrations, people knew not to play with you. People knew they couldn't come and control your stuff economically. They had to ask permission. But when you walking around with the demonstration with with baseball caps, t-shirts and tight jeans and all that, ain't nobody asking your permission to do nothing. You just seen as food, you know what I'm saying? You seen as for sale to the highest bidder. You dig? So get back on yours. And another thing, make sure y'all there's a certain speech, a certain historic speech Malcolm X made back in his day. And he told y'all, a lot of y'all silly ancestors back then. But people, again, people are so watered down. I guess back then, too much pork eating or whatever was going on. But he told a lot of these folks back then. And this is in this heavily segregated, heavily militarized Jim Crow era. Malcolm X had a famous speech, and I'll drop the link in the description to that speech. But he had a famous speech where he was telling fools back during Jim Crow, right before integration. He was telling your ancestors. He said he had a homeboy who decided to do an experiment, and other brothers back in that time had did that experiment. Because people remember the Moes and everything. They remember who the bosses was in this land. But he had a homie that did an experiment, and he went to the segregated South, the Jim Crow South, right, where, you know, you knew you had to just, either you was going one place or the other, you know what I mean? You knew to stay on your side, they stayed on our side. We was doing fine in that system, but you just knew what it was. But so he had a homie that decided to put a turban on. This is like back in the late 50s, early 60s, or whatever time it was, who decided to put a turban on. And this brother decided to go to a so-called white, I think, restaurant in the Jim Crow South. Man, don't you know that them Europeans, they let that brother in with that turban on. And Malcolm X said, check this out. Malcolm X said, the brother, you know, they treated him, basically rolled out the red carpet for him in the segregated South, right? Because they just assumed that he wasn't no food. Like, because everybody see you as food outside your demonstration in your land. Let's just keep it a buck. You can, like I said, you can run and hide from yourself all you want to, but if you don't keep your real demonstration, your Al-Moroccan demonstration, you know what I mean, your holy demonstration, nobody respects you, man. But anyway, Malcolm X's homie said, he asked the European, he was like, do y'all serve Negroes in here, niggers, whatever? And the European told this brother, the brother looked just, he my complexion or darker. The European told the brother, he was like, we don't serve no niggas in here. You know what I'm saying? But the brother with the turban, he get the red carpet rolled out for him, bro. So either you a noble or you the other thing. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even gonna say it. But it's two ends you could be. You could be the noble or you can be the other one. You know what I'm saying? So just get your mind right, man. And like I said, we don't really deal with too much color around here, but again, the color games, man, that junk is for the birds at this point, man. It's not time to play games with that no more. But anyway, again, adopt your demonstration. Towaliga, your Moorish demonstration. Take it back if you really want a chance to wield any type of hell, let alone be self-sufficient and be able to manage your own affairs. But if you ever want to assert any type of power in your land and really be able to look out for yourself and get respect from your women, from your children, and your descendants that's coming anyway, that's coming behind you, get back on your demonstration, man. Alamassee-El, you know what I mean? Ali Bamu, Ayawa, get back on your demonstration, pimping. But that's peace. I'll tap back in with y'all later.